Alrighty, welcome back team. We'll get back into submissions. Welcome back if you're online. So we've got 3 more submissions to hear this morning, and then councillors, what we'll do is we'll just tidy up that PX item this morning as well, before we have lunch and then deliberations this afternoon. So welcome now McGregor Simpson to present. Welcome, McGregor, and the floor is yours for 10 minutes.
Morning, Your Worship, and members of the council members and the community, other people present. I hope I'm not run out of town in the next 5 minutes, but yeah. Right. Yes, my name is McGregor Simpson. I'm also a member of the Geraldine Community Board currently. We live in difficult times. Viruses and floods have interrupted our normal way of life. However, Timaru District Council, you are operating well. Some ratepayers in the community are struggling with financial matters, however, and you come across that quite a bit. Now, I will go through my submission. In question 1, I do not agree with the above 3 proposals because the second one I crossed part of it out. I have ticked the centre proposal but have deleted the reference to make greater use of debt. The Timaru District Council's proposal to increase debt is economic nonsense. Debt that is currently circa 128 million. This amount should be reduced year by year until it is eliminated. Individuals, businesses, companies and organisations that are in debt run the risk of insolvency. In question 2, I had said that the council should reduce capital projects or prioritise them over a longer period of time, and something else. Right, this is what I had to comment on this one. If council give due consideration to prioritising capital projects and all other types of expenditure, they would be able to minimise and hopefully eliminate the need for further borrowing. Do away with bureaucrats, and by saving their ridiculous fees, use the money saved to repay the council's debt. Question 3 was, are there any options you think council should consider at all? Local bodies' responsibility to their ratepayers is to be skillful governors of the assets they are charged to maintain. These assets belong to ratepayers, no one else. Council is not a charity and should not act as one. Further, elected representatives, and I include myself, are the servants of ratepayers, not their bosses. We need to listen to them about their concerns and aspirations. And question 4, do you have any comments on the proposed changes to Resource Management Act 1991 fees and charges? I said that they stay the same. Swimming pool fees, hall hire and rubbish dump fees are acceptable. However, the question is, why are staff whose employment relates to processing consents have their time during this work charged to the consent applicants. Some invoice demands are beyond belief, and the recipient should be given an itemised account of the costs. And question 4, I have added, as to assets, the eroding, water resources, waste disposal, parks and reserves, and community assets such as swimming pools. And further feedback, the council, Timaru District Council, should establish its own road gang or unit. Graders, rollers, cones, and the workers. They would do the job at cost, whereas contractors make a profit. The cheapest quote is not always from a gang that does a satisfactory job. Some of the road potholes that have been done recently are back to the normal state of a major pothole in about a week. The cheapest quote is not always from a gang that does a satisfactory job. And any other feedback? Finally, you might think that I am a dinosaur. During my life, I have sat around your table for a term and a half. My first job after university was working for 4 years for Dougal, Hutchison and Templeton, the Waimarie County Council solicitors, lawyers. At times, I was given council jobs such as new subdivisions, especially in Ilam and Burnside. And I had to listen to ratepayers' concerns, so you've got my sympathy on that one. Also, I have spent 9 years on road construction gangs as a roller driver. The Timaru District Council should employ people in various sectors of their operation, e.g. roading, parks and reserves, and water management, who fully understand the governance, construction, maintenance and all other aspects of their sectors. Thus, they no longer require the services of bureaucrats in the form of so-called consultants. I think a consultant looks at the navel in the morning to see if they're breathing or not. Specialists, experts, and the definition of that is X is an unknown factor and a spurt is a drip under water, under pressure, and advisors. And thank you for listening to me. Have you got any questions?
Thanks, McGregor. Questions for McGregor? No, all good. I think we're good, McGregor.
Oh, that's good. Rates are going to drop 5.5% in the next month or so, are they? Okay.
Yeah, hold on. We've got to stay there. We've got a question from Councillor Booth.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
So you mentioned debt of 120 million, but in actual fact, we're going to be up to 230 million come next year. How do you feel about that?
No, like in business and farm, it doesn't matter what you do. You've got to have, in a balance sheet, you've got to have black ink, not red ink. And I'd like to see it down because things such as the Timona water scheme, just for instance, they're sort of owned by the locals. They pay rates for it and that sort of thing. And then there's other people from well outside of the Timaru District Council who are trying to put their paws on everything. And One of the biggest things, and I'll just say this about our area, is that we're very, very concerned about river erosion. The Waihi River is eroding its banks in the Geraldine town quite considerably. They're trying to stop it. But the biggest problem is at Arundel, where I've got land. Little freshers in the river are eroding the river banks, and 3 of the Rangitata South irrigation ponds, the river is right up against them. In a massive flood, it will release 2 million cubics down the river, and that would cause tremendous problems to various other communities that are downstream. You know who they are: Rangitata, Orari, Orton, Clandyboy. We've got to stop that, and I know it's not the Timaru District Council's concern, the rivers, but you guys have got to go and start kicking some backsides up in Christchurch, I think. I have to be quite honest. That's going to be one of the worst things I think the worst disaster New Zealand would ever have. If it happened at night, the problem with the Rangitata is that the heavy rain on the west coast comes through a pass near Bulla, gets into the headwaters. Could be a fine sunny day here all day. Next thing, there's a raging torrent and a huge flood in the Rangitata at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, and you don't know it's there until you start swimming. Yeah.
In your mind, what's caused
Thank you.
What's caused the problem? What's
The
is it
problem
because
goes
of
back, I could take the history of it. The problem goes back through erosion 30, 40, 50 years ago, and it came down, most of the shingle in the Rangitata River comes down the Havelock River from Erawan, its catchment. When I was young and went to school in Peel Forest, the Rangitata River had a swimming pond near the school, and it was clay bottom. And Jimmy Jenkins, who was a teenager in the 1920s and 30s, he said that the Rangitata at that time had a clay bottom, and I can agree with that. The Rangitata has taken 400 acres of great, good farmland from the Arundel Bridge through to the Rangitata, to the Peel Forest camping ground in the last 15, 20, 30 years. And that's very serious. And I know it's not an issue that is an ECAN issue, but we've got to get something done about it. I'll give you just one example. In October 2018, you could walk down the old road beside the Arundel Bridge, and I had my measuring wheel. I measured from a track going out to the riverbank, and it was 162.1 metres, and there was another 70 metres at least to the number 1 pond. Number 1 pond is right, that's before that was the riverbank. Number 1 pond is now right by the river. And with all due respect to the guys that did the ponds, that river could take it out, and there'd be a big wave going down the sea, down to the sea. And I'm very concerned about it. The other thing with Peel Forest is that the flood in December 2019, the rubbish came mainly from the older rubbish dump at Arundel, not from Peel Forest dump. Prior to that, just before the flood, two truckloads of rubbish had been dumped up by the stop bank. Three truckloads of rubbish. People go up the ferry road at night, no traffic, no houses nearby and dump. They dump them in my paddocks as well. I used to have to take them to the dump. But
We're
the
off-
problem
McGregor,
was that there.
Appreciate that. We're off topic, so we're going to get back on topic. So I appreciate your submission. Thank you.
In due course, yep.
Yeah, I appreciate that.